even asked us, is like, if I kind of break the rules, just hit me up about it, guys. And I agree with him. Like, we gain nothing. Like, one of these comes in, they talk nice. They're like, oh, look, white people deserve their space, and can't we just be friends and blah blah blah. But then later that night, they're just behavior. I think it was you, Comfy, that was speaking about that guy where he's like against the Jews and all. And then half an hour later, he's posting like, yeah, many big you can, and just.
Myon Gaines. Yeah.
Myon Gaines.
The worst thing he said was, "Don't marry a girl until you're 35." What a retarded thing to say.
Yeah, what a stupidest thing ever, mate.
This is why we're talking. This is what we were saying yesterday. Like, at the end of the day, I like you. They're low impulse control. Even if they say a few things that are based or whatever by our standards, don't for it. Don't think that they're on our side. Oh, based. It just doesn't happen. You know what I mean, though? This is what people think. This is what people think. No, it's what
but Myon Gaines. Myon Gaines.
No,
Myon Gaines has like. How many followers did Myon Gaines have? Just for fun.
Like 100,000.
Based.
But that's the point. I think it's the only reason why some people listen to him. It's because he's a little bit known, but he's still a.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And come the end of the day, especially in somewhere like the States where they're just. What you think these people are going to align? You think they're going to help you? They'll turn on you.
As fast as a.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Breakdown Friday. Joseph Ward, Professor Carlton Jones, Patrick Irvin, and we're here breaking down a group of white guys telling the truth about how they feel about what we call sellout Negroes. Negroes who tap dance for the cause and the drum of white America. Negroes who go above and beyond to talk down and to trash and to punch down on black people, whether they're American black or black people throughout the diaspora. Negroes who like to eat from the crumbs of the table of white America, especially white supremacists. Negroes who are sucking at the teat of white America, just trying to get a little bit of drop out of it, just trying to get some recognition. And they are willing and able to pull their pants down and take a crap on their own people for their own self-aggrandizement, because they want white people to pat them on their heads and tell them that they've done a good job. They are the pets of white America, the William O'Neills. And well, the new name is the Myon Gaines of the world, because they called him out by name. And when I first heard this clip, I was like, wow, okay, they on Twitter getting it in, huh? They just raw and ragged on Twitter. But then I'm listening to what they're saying, and they're basically saying they don't care about how much these black people sell out or how much these black people are what they call the based N-words. They don't care how based they are. At the end of the day, they're still N-words. You're still not one of us. They still don't trust you. They still don't like you. No matter how hard you coon, no matter how hard you tap dance, they're telling you who you are and your place that you'll always be in. Like Trick Daddy said, no matter what, you still one. You still an N-word. I'm saying N-word because I don't feel like doing all that editing, but you get it. But this is what we're breaking down, because this is the raw truth, and we need to hear it and we need to discuss it. And black people need to understand what they're getting themselves into if you are thinking about trying to become a part of this talented 10th, trying to become a part of this boule, trying to become a part of this sector of black America that needs to have that proximity to white people. Because we're seeing it a lot in this election time. But those Negroes, those Negroes throughout the social media realms who do as much as they can to get the appreciation and the clamoring of the white audiences. Well, for all you Negroes, this is for you. So let's jump right into this, man. Pat, you shared this audio in the group. How did you come by this audio? What you think about it first time you heard it? You had time to think about it. What other thoughts came to your mind, just overall? And you know they called Myon out by name. So, what are your thoughts about this?
Well, I came across it doing what I usually do. Y'all know I'm a Reddit person. Like that's my social media of choice. And you always find juicy stuff scrolling through Reddit. And really the reason, and I'll say this, the reason I like Reddit is because it's long form content.
Mm-hmm.
People, it's a part of the culture of the community of Reddit to take time to fully flesh out what you're thinking. It's not quick snippets. It's not nothing fast or whatever. Like people are typing out whole paragraphs about their thought processes and how they feel about particular subjects, and that always appeals to me. So this particular link was shared in another group that I'm a part of in Reddit, and I saw it, and the very first thing that I thought was, those aren't even American white people.
Right.
So like that was my first thought, because you know everybody, especially in America, we love to paint this picture as if like racism in America is like something
The top tier.
Like it's different anywhere else in the world you
Yeah.
go.
Like you get racism light in Europe or something.
Right. And so it was just like enjoyable. And I know that people are gonna say, you saying it's enjoyable? Yeah, it was enjoyable to be able to see that, you know what I'm saying? This is proof that is nationwide and it's on your side.
What racism is a global phenomenon. How many times did the master teachers have to tell us? How many ways do they have to say it? White supremacy is a global phenomenon. White supremacy started in Europe.
I mean, you know, what was it? The first people to engage in the slave trade was the Portuguese, right?
I'm just saying.
So I mean, I think it was that. So then thought shifted to the terminology low IQ, which is something that Myron uses a lot. So I know he's intimately familiar with the group that is discussing him at that moment. He's probably had some interactions with several members of that group.
And I believe the name of that group was Whites. Whites Only. Yeah,
right.
Whites Only.
And to be clear, white people ain't stupid. They know that black people are in those groups. I used to be in those groups under alias. So in that sense, there was nothing really new about what was presented. Like I said, I used to be in those groups when I was into social media. So I know those groups exist. But it was interesting to see it the way it was presented. I think there's a lot for black people that are serious, that are really lost and in the dark about global white supremacy and racism. There's a lot in this little short clip that they probably need help processing. So in that, I would encourage them to find a professional that can help them make sense of this, because this is if this clip goes viral, it's a Negro wake up call for a lot of people that's been resisting other ones, and they need help getting through that. Because a Negro wake up call goes two ways: either you wake up or you double down.
Yeah. So if you all are lost about who Myon Gaines is, check this out.
304. I'm still alive.
Okay,
Yeah,
so don't want guys.
I don't want
to. Some guys are different about it. Like some dudes are like, yeah, this is gonna be funny. Eskimo Brothers is for a funny story. But and then some guys are like, hell, I've noticed with black dudes, they don't like doing that. White guys, we're all like, yeah, well, I said we. Yeah, but not me.
He's white. He's white, Justin. He's white, bro.
Hey, man.
That was natural.
I officially just stamped Myron as white.
Yeah. What I meant to say was, when I was in college, I knew that.
So Myon Gaines is one of the co-hosts of the Fresh and Fit podcast. He the other lame one, and he has they called him out by name, but he is a representation of the sellout Negro and that sellout Negro mindset. So when we're saying Myron, we are talking about him, but we're also using him as a representation of the sellout Negro mindset as a whole. So from now on, a new name in the lexicon of the sellouts is you are Myron. So if your name is Myron, you better spell it different from him, or just be better. So and sorry if your name is Myron. Don't be mad at me. Be mad at Myon Gaines of Fresh and Fit. So take your anger out on him. So PC man, what do you think about this? Like, I know you, like me, were introduced to this through Pat. But when you saw this and you having time to either seeing it for the first time or having time to process, like, what were your thoughts about this whole clip? Because I ain't gonna lie, I'm real interested in what you got to say. I ain't gonna lie.
That's why I landed, because I'm interested too.
Oh, damn. There's a lot of pressure. All right. So, well, first of all, I saw the clip. So this is like my second time seeing it, because I did see it in the group.
Mm-hmm.
And Pat brought up a good point about the fact that these weren't even American. You know, you could tell that they had like a Irish, sort of
Australian type.
Australian, Irish. It all sound. Well, I ain't gonna say that, but anyway, you know what I was about to say. It ain't like us. So when I first heard it, I thought Myon deserved this. He earned this, because he's been trying to cozy up to people like Nick Fuentes. He's been going around wearing Klan regalia on his shows and walking around with hoods on, and basically being as offensive as possible to the black community.
Yes.
And let's be clear on something else. I'm gonna walk this down. I watched the Jordan, what's the kid named Jordan Davis that got murdered in Florida?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so after that, that came like maybe a year or so after the news footage actually came a year or so after the Trayvon Martin case. So it was the next biggest case. And I found that there was a Jewish news writer. Well, he was an NBC correspondent, MSNBC correspondent, and he said, "Y'all really don't know." And he's talking to a group of black people on the panel. Y'all really don't know how white people really feel about y'all.
Right.
But when I go into a room, if there's one black person in the room, the conversation's different. But as soon as the black people leave out, he said, all white people do is talk about black people and the consumption, that how consumed they are with black people. And it's always negative, but there's a consumption that they have in regards to our culture, in regards to our likeness, whatever you want to call it. So, and I had known that because I went to college in Bloomsburg, North Central Pennsylvania, Bloomsburg University. So I saw that firsthand, because especially in college, a lot of white people feel like they don't have to bite their tongue, and they feel liberated to say whatever they want. And it don't even matter who's in the room at that particular time. As long as there's more of them than it is you, then, and you found this out in the classrooms where they felt protected by the professors. So this is not a new phenomenon. I mean, we all know it. This is not a new phenomenon. What I find really interesting about it, though, is that we'll seem to have these situations where black people are reminded about how the dominant society feels about us, whether it's here or internationally. And 2 or 3 years later, it's like a new group of Negroes come through and try to reinvent or recreate this dynamic. I remember having this conversation with my nephew, who had just got out of college. He was still in college at the time. And he was telling me about how times are different now. They don't have to deal with racism like we did before.
Yeah.
And I had to explain to him, I said, nephew, I need you to understand something. This is cyclical. Every some odd years, we have a group of new young Negroes who feel as though just because you're friends with somebody who does not look like you, that racism has finally, there's no longer a conversation. I said, this is cool until y'all have to get out there in the real world and compete for resources. That's when it all starts to change. When you have to start competing with them for the ability to provide for yourself, and it's you versus them for a job. you know, out here in the real world. And so this is something that happens a lot when, especially when you have, I'm not gonna say that. This happens a lot when you have people who just don't want to fight no more. And then we can go back to like the international piece. And I'm glad you brought that up, Pat, because the first thing I thought about was when they had the Winter Olympics in Russia a few years ago, and they had to warn all the black people not to leave Olympic Village because of the white supremacist groups that they had out there and the white nationalist groups they had out there who were actively talking about harming them if they encountered any of them in the city of St. Petersburg or Moscow or anywhere else they planned on going.
We don't be paying attention. We don't pay attention to what goes on in Europe, so that's why we don't know.
No, we don't think like men.
That too.
Because as a man, the first thing you do when you enter a situation is you run a threat analysis. You know, and we actually check to see if there's going to be danger here. Is this somebody I need to be concerned about? Is this situation even safe? And we take all that into consideration. The problem is the majority of the black community are all strong black women, even the ones with male genitalia. I just did it. I had a crump moment. I tell you, I just crumped it. My bad.
Making up all new words over there.
Dramatized. So, but the most interesting part about this, Myron ain't even black. He's Arab, like 100% Arab.
Yeah, he's Sudanese.
Yeah, so like his Sudanese brothers actually put him on blast for disrespecting his Islamic heritage. So Myron ain't even black, but he does this stuff because he's dark skinned and he can blend in and he can. I mean, shit. If it works if it can get you close to the White House, you know, he can do this type of stuff where he is right now on his platform. Myron ain't black. Myron gets to hide, and I call out the cats that allow him to walk around using the N-word all the time, because it's one of those things where black people have not shown enough cultural pride to call people out when they do this, and especially if you don't identify as black. We really shouldn't be doing it anyway, but damn it, you know, to allow somebody else to do it is the ultimate disrespect. Myron, like, and Tommy Sotomayor sort of like gotten close to those guys too, and he just got called out by Richard Spencer. Yeah. And Richard Spencer said to him, "How can I trust you to be loyal to me when you're not even loyal to the people you came from?"
Hey man, I saw prior to this, I saw another Twitter space where the white guys was going in on Tommy Sotomayor, and he was in the Twitter space, and they go in there basically telling the same thing, like, "You a sellout Negro. We don't respect you. Go crawl back into your hole."
And that's the biggest part. They don't respect you, and Negroes feel like the Benedict Arnold, or what's the humpback that sold out
the 300. Yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah.
They feel like if I just get to the other side, because now what I find about these Negroes is the ones that desire to be in that space is they got hurt feelings towards the rest of the black community.
Oh, absolutely.
And so because they have those hurt feelings towards the rest of the black community, they want to see us pain. They want to see us in pain, and they want to join the ones they feel like can inflict the most harm upon us. And like I said, Myron ain't black, but he been hanging around a bunch of Negroes down there in Florida. Damn, y'all gonna catch that L too, huh?
Man, it's Florida. Come on, man. We expect it. It's Florida.
Yeah, I got a stray for that one.
And we catch strays every day. We know.
So But I think that's the biggest part. The biggest part is they feel as though they're inflicting harm on a community that they have that they have a lot of ill regard towards. Meanwhile, the people they're doing it for don't have any respect for them because they said if you were really about something, you wouldn't be turning on your own to side with us.
But why not do it when you could just take the Candace Owens route, and after white people reject you, you just start giving black people platforms and doing stuff with black people, because black people gonna say that you're not welcome back, but you welcome back.
Well, black people, like I said, we are all raised with like women. And so, I mean, how many women have you seen? They know their man is a philanderer. Like, this dude is out here everywhere. And yet and still they say, well, as long as he come back to me, I don't care. That is the black community.